Hi, I'm Caroline Rena, and welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. This is episode 11. And today I'm going to be doing this one on my own. I'm still working towards finding people to interview, which is turning out to really be one of my favorite things to do because there's more information and connection and different things like that when I'm interviewing people, learning about other people and what they do and different things like that. So today we're going to go back for a minute to my just sharing the things that have been coming up over the last couple of days, and then I'll be reaching out, but I'll share a little bit about that in a little bit. So the last few days have been really enriching and grieving at the same time. There have been a lot of emotions that are shifting again, feelings coming to the surface with all of these changes going on, getting ready to leave on my trip. And the closer I get to it, the more comes up. So the feeling of feeling my feelings of sadness and loss over the last couple of days were so deep, but they didn't last that long. And it seems whatever I'm doing here, between the work with the two people I interviewed with, Noel New and Vince Bolito, those exercises helped me immensely. So I highly recommend that you go and listen to the interviews I did with them. Episode 9 was Vince and episode 10 was Noel. And you can see what kind of process they used on me. And obviously they were both very effective. So I'm feeling good and looking back and at my experience over the last couple of days, being like what I call the witness or observer of my life now, and being able to just watch what's going on as it's happening is incredibly interesting, because I used to have such a fear of seeing all these, things that come up for me, and I would immediately go into a flashback. So I wasn't present during that. Now I'm present. And that's what's really cool about all of this. So like I said, I would I'd go into a flashback, or I would break down into anxiety, or I would have dissociated into the closet in my brain, just to feel safe. And what I remembered at one point was I used to, as a child, go into my closet in my room because I felt safe there. So that's why I mentioned the closet in the brain, because that kind of, encompasses what it is as an adult to have, the fear and looking for a place of safety. So that's what the dissociation was like. And I haven't been doing that anymore. And it's really a relief to me. And the other thing was also being able to talk my way through all this stuff out loud with a friend, in cases when I need to, especially over the last day, for me to understand for myself what's going on. Because for me, when I talk and I hear myself talking, I can actually work through things and understand what's happening. And so that's why it helps me to just have a conversation with somebody. And I don't even really need them in most cases to give me any help or feedback or whatever. And sometimes when that comes up, it's beautiful, obviously. But when I do this, it helps me to understand. So that's me kind of in a nutshell. But I really don't, it's hard for me to describe it because there are a few people out there that do that, but not everybody really does that in the way I do it. I don't know how to explain that. But anyway, what I can tell you is this. A couple of days ago, this past week, my son and I had a visit together. And after everything we've been through, it was probably the most loving and peaceful of visits that we've had together from my perspective. I felt his love. I could not help but to love him more deeply than I have ever been able to do. And I could feel that energy. And all I wanted to do during the entire time that we were together was just take these deep breaths and hold in that that energy of love. And I mean, it felt so amazing. There was times, when we looked into each other's eyes while we were talking, just talking. And that look will be forever etched in my mind, because it was just so loving and powerful for me, to also recognize how far we've come in our relationship too. So that's been huge. We got to take a walk on the beach, and that was healing, and just watching the ebb and the flow of the water and the changing of, everything that's gone on for us in our lives, and watching the sanderlings running back and forth along the water's edge. Those are the little birds that have those little short legs that run real fast when they come up to the edge of the ocean. And then when the water comes in, they kind of run back out again. But that I love watching. I really just love watching sanderlings. They're so cool. But anyway, not only does being at the beach give me a sense of freedom, it's also truly, truly very healing, not just for me, I think for many people. And the beach, because I'm going to talk real quick about that, because I'm in Florida right now. This is where I spent the first 2+ years. It might have been longer than that, consistently at the beach, just to heal. And it was part of my process, the salt air, the birds flying overhead. I love watching pelicans fly, the sand under my feet when it wasn't piping hot in the middle of the summer, and just being in the moment, like floating in the water, allowing it to rock me like a baby. It did so much. And honestly, the water and the sand actually have healing properties. So when we're walking barefoot or swimming in the ocean, we are getting the properties from both of them to heal our bodies. And that's, I feel like it might be what the draw is to coming to the ocean, because it's so healing. There were also days in the last couple of years where I went to the beach for sunrise and did a meditation, and just sat there for an hour and by myself, and just wrote my journal and meditated and watched the sunrise and the ocean. And it just brought me to a place of solace and beauty and healing there too. So I've done a lot around this. And I really enjoy the meditative part of the ocean with the waves, when you can hear them and you really can't hear anything else but like birds, so now what's interesting is that this is all leading to what came up for me today. Really, I don't see myself as old per se. I mean, I'm 57 now, and holy cow, in 3 years, I'm going to be 60, and that doesn't register quite yet. But the thing is that as I get older, I get more reflective, and I get to experience moments of like that with him, just watching and observing what's happening. And I began to feel the wave when I was with him, or after, well, a little bit while I was with him, but after we parted ways and he went back to where he was staying, I started to feel a wave of other losses that haven't been resolved yet. And to me, at this point now, they're coming up so I can heal them. I get that. I mean, in the past, if that came up, it would have been like this major, and going into all kinds of anxiety and sadness or whatever. Now that's still happening. The anxiety is not really happening as much, but the sadness still comes up. And so, like, in linear time, it feels like it's like life is becoming shorter and faster. And sometimes it just makes me feel sad to think about missing out on relationships that could be, that I don't, for me, it's like my understanding is that I get to be patient waiting, to see what happens with certain relationships that I had, gone through and we're in the process of rectifying. I've got a girlfriend of mine that, I'm walking through that, different things like that. And it's just being able to come into that space in a different way, but it's still hurt, it still hits and like I said, today was one of those days. And the closer I get to going out on the road, the more these feelings come up the sadness and the grief and the fear. Although I feel like the fear is dissipating more and more, but the sadness and the grief just to release, so I'm able to go, go out on the road and find out more about myself, learn more about other people, connect with other people, and then leaving the people that I've been spending time with since I've been down here. And it's just all like, all coming together, and very, very difficult for me to describe it, but I'm doing the best I can, really. So somehow I know that I'm okay. And that's what's happening now, is for me to just allow these feelings to come up, to flow, to release them until I get back to feeling better. And it doesn't take as long as it used to either. And what I've kind of discovered, and I've had conversations with people around this, is when our feelings are stuck in our bodies, and another feeling, feelings from when we were little, or from traumas from when we were little, we have all this stuff that kind of sticks in our body. And if we don't release them, if we don't learn how to shift that, and as new things happen, new emotions with the same, or new things, situations in our lives or traumas with the same emotions that are opening up, they come in and they kind of like, they stick to the ones that are in there. And that's not supposed to be what's happening. What I've begun to start looking at and figuring out for myself is like, there's supposed to be a flow. If an emotion comes in, it's supposed to come in and flow through and then go out. You feel the emotion. I've talked about GPS. It's like our feelings and emotions are supposed to be like a GPS system, where, for example, anger is protecting our boundaries, or sadness comes up when something is over and something new is about to begin, but we don't know that. So we feel sadness and we grieve. Or, I just a couple of the ones I wanted to share with you, but it's supposed to flow. And when you have anger already stuck in your system, when you have sadness, it's been there for years and years and years, it's never been released. When more comes in, something else happens, it actually kind of stacks on top. And that's what had been happening for me my whole life. And now I'm starting to see that flow happening, where if a feeling comes through me, it doesn't get stuck, especially sadness. I used to sit in sadness and cry. I cried about everything. I cried when I watched a sad movie or a sad commercial during the holidays, or whatever. Now I tear up, but that's not sadness. That's empathy or compassion at this point. That's what it feels like. So it's really cool to feel and experience the difference between the stuckness of those feelings and the flowness of the feelings. I don't know if that's a word, that are coming through now. And it's really cool. And I'm so happy that this is going on, because it's not fun getting stuck in that stuff. Life is supposed to be a little more fun than getting stuck all the time in that. And even in the healing journey, getting stuck in the healing journey and focusing so much, it's just letting things be. And there were times when I was in the thick of everything going on in my life, and between my mid-20s to my late 40s, or even pretty close to my early 50s, maybe even longer than that, till I guess since my mother died. And it would take me months. I remember at the beginning of things that happened, in my life with my divorce, where it would take, literally, I would get stuck in it for months. And I was like, what is this? I just couldn't get out of it. And now it's clear to me what the difference is. And I remember Louise Hay, who is, she is a self-help guru, was a self-help guru. She put together Hay House for other authors and, whatever, that are in the alternative field of healing and that type of thing, among other things that they do there, that meditations and books and, all kinds of things. And she said, I remember her in an interview, and when she was 90 years old, she said, I still go through shit. Just saying. I still go through shit. Nowadays, it's easier because when I step in it, I step out more quickly. And that was perfect for me. I was like, okay, so it looks like this is going to be going on for a while, at least as long as I'm like on this planet. But if I can get in and out faster, that's the ticket. That's the key. That's the way to do this. Okay, I got you. So I'm so happy I came across that when I did. So in stepping out of the shit, I also feel like the process is easier. And some days I just get to the point where I realize it is what it is, and I just want and get to enjoy my life. And that's what I'm aiming to do here. And I have to say, I learn a lot from my son. He is the deepest, most compassionate, loving human being I have ever met. I know him to the depths of his soul, and I don't know him because, what we went through and the fact that he's older now, and I have to say he's in his 30s, and that's when I start thinking about how old I am. But anyway, he's always been an inspiration for me. He's always been someone that I deeply, deeply admire and look up to. And I listen to what he has to say, because what he has to say is important, period, and to me. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because that's how incredibly intensively important that meeting was with him the other day, the connection. So, all right, well, here we go. Now I'm moving on to, I know I jump around a little bit, and it's hard for me to kind of segue from something, deep like that into just regular stuff, but that's how I'm going to do it, because I still don't want to get stuck in it. I want to be in the positiveness of all of this. So an update on the car setup. I had that visit that I was saying with someone else, which was basically a measurement and brainstorming session. This was a friend on how to set up my car. And in gratitude, I received also a cot from my former partner as a gift. And had it not been for that, thank you so much, I wouldn't have been able to measure around in the back, from being able to set it up. So it was perfect timing. It was awesome. And it helped me to actually get more specific with how I can set it up, rather than trying to eyeball and imagine what was going to happen, because I was getting all locked up in there with that. I couldn't figure it out. But anyway, so the first round setup will be happening soon. I just have to purchase a few items, and then I'll be ready for that. And then I'm not going deeply into the setup yet. I'm not going to do like an actual build out. I'm just going to build what I need, specifically what I need, because the initial part of my trip may only include short stays in my car. I will be staying with friends in many cases, or family. Hopefully I'm up there and get that opportunity. Up north. Yeah. Anyway, it's cold up there. So, so I won't need the whole setup. So I've decided that that's going to come later. But finally, I wanted to share that, like I said, I would mention this at the end. After those 2 interviews I did in my last 2 podcasts, I've definitely decided that this is something that I want to be an ongoing thing, to have interviews with people, because I really love that idea, that concept, and the connection, and to see how people are helping themselves, are healing themselves, are connecting with others, are working with other people, or whatever they're doing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a coach or a therapist or, things like that, because I've also met someone else who has just a young girl who's just started a skincare company. So, I'm working on with her own natural skincare products that she's working on putting together, and she's doing her own research on it, so it's really cool. So these are the people I'm meeting along the way. I'm selling my stuff. That's how I met her. And so that's going to more than likely be an interview, so anything like that. So what I'm really leading to is, if there's an interest by anyone who is either on a healing journey or and can share a conversation around that, or professionals. I am open to speaking with you to see how it fits with what I'm doing here, and welcome the opportunity to connect with you and see where that goes. So you can actually reach me through my link on Facebook or Instagram. There's a link in my bio for Instagram. There's a link on my Facebook page, not my page, my profile page. There's a link there to Linktree, both of them. Or you can go to my website where you can either email me or leave a message for me on my phone, old school. So anyway, I'm really excited about this and scared. Yes. And grieving. Yeah. And I'm still smiling and I'm grateful for that. So here we go. I look forward to meeting you, whoever you are. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate you greatly on this, the Ride of My Life podcast. All right. I hope you guys have a fantastic day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.